So we got one for the flat earthers today, or the round earthers, or the cubed, diced.
You got a good cube because of Star Trek.
Oh yeah. Or curried, or marinated. No, I'm just being silly. But yeah, here's one for the flat earthers. And again, look what it's from. A Seth book. And these have only just been published, many thanks to Rick Stack and the New Awareness Network in New York, and that's USA, and the Seth Centre for sending us these books. The early class sessions, a Seth book. It's basically Jane Roberts who channeled Seth's ESP class, and you know what ESP means, don't you?
Extrasensory perception.
Seth called it inner ISP, inner sensory perception, class in Elmira in 1969. Oh, by the way, there was a session where Seth went on about the man's landings on the moon, and he said he never landed on the moon, but there was a man that stole the session, and Rob and Jane couldn't find the session that had been missing, but there was a man called Andrea Pukarich,
yes,
who worked for the CIA, who never actually left the army, who worked for the American government, who stole that particular session to say that man didn't actually land on the moon. What a coincidence.
What a shock.
It's really funny what he says just before, because Seth withdrew. It says Jane seemed to have a hard time coming out of trance, and Sally, a class member, touched her shoulder and said, "Jane, are you coming back?" Seth came through abruptly. "I'm coming back! Now I will not keep you. When you want to try psychic time, think of me." Shall we talk about psychic time? We will afterwards. It says, "Think of the small sphere, your planet upon which you have placed yourself, and that you form it, the world and everything that you know, from within, and that the truths will come from within and not from without. Imagine the sun as being within you as indeed it is, and feel it shine through the seemingly boundaries of your being. For if you listen inward, you can hear the first words spoken upon your planet, and you can hear the yawn from Rachel that fills this so quiet room." It's one of the classmates. So he says, think of the small sphere planet upon which you have placed yourself. Sphere.
It probably meant cubed.
Or if it's flat. You know, have you ever seen time driven in 2 dimension? It's completely flat on 9 squares. I'll draw it one day when I've got a pen with me, and it says past, present, future, because present is now, right, and future is in now, and past is here, but they're all happening at the same time. But if it's flat on a piece of paper, then it can only go, well, it can't go anywhere, can it? But if you imagine that there's 9, 9, 9, right, that's 27. 9 and 9 is 18, 1 and 8 is 9, and 2 and 7 is 9. It's easy. Then it's in 3 dimensions moving into 4th, which is time, which is also an illusion. But psychic time is really interesting, and I don't know whether you try it yourself. I know you know how to do it.
Yeah.
But if you can find 15 to 30 minutes per day to actually just lie down, close the curtains, if the neighbours are out, much better, don't have any TV and music on, lie down on your bed, close your eyes and ignore the outer 5 senses.
Oi, I'm trying to ignore you.
Oh, sorry about that. Have I done anything wrong? Ignore the outer 5 senses and look inside. If any thoughts come into your mind, dismiss them and just have a blank mind. But you'll start to see images.
Most of the population won't have a problem with that.
Do you know, some people like to smoke a little bit of marijuana, especially in the Netherlands or in America where it's legal. And this can relax your mind. And if you have a little sip of wine, this can also enhance. But if you look inside, but not with these eyes, with the all-seeing eye, which is not an eye like that's the eye of Sobek and that's another eye on there. It's not those. It's not one of these, or even a piece of art that's tattooed into the skin. And it's not in the middle of the forehead, although it does have something to do with the pineal gland, which is right in the centre of the brain when you decalcify it. But psychic time, or psi time as Seth refers to it, then you see inside. And even if the sun and all the universe is actually inside, what is inside rather than outside is actually a materialization of what is inside. Because when I first started trying it, I felt like I was in Doctor Who's TARDIS at first. To explore the mind and the other things, and you can visit other systems of reality, other ones that you can't even explain or even draw. I witnessed these beings from another reality, and all I felt was love and light from them. Yeah. And I got this woman who's an artist to try and draw it, and guess what?
Couldn't do it.
She couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I couldn't describe it. And I visited that reality twice. But psychic time is absolutely fascinating. If you want to replay the video in order to try and do the psychic time, but it's just relax. If you set the alarm clock for like 15-20 minutes a day, or even 30 minutes, so you don't fall asleep, and have a pen beside you
with some paper,
and you know, notepad, and write down or try and draw what you can see. But it's fantastic. It's amazing, because all of this seems like an hallucination to what you see on the inside. And there's another one. Is just before you're sleeping. Sorry, I'm doing all the talking today. It seems like he's sat here. You can go into side time, can't you?
That's what I'm doing.
Just drift off. But yeah, another good thing is, you know, before just as you're falling asleep, again, if you've got a pad and a pen beside the bed, and you repeat in your mind, just as you're drifting off, that you will recall your dreams. Not remember, because if you can remember, you can forget, can't you? But if you will recall your dreams.
And of course, remember comes from Egypt, where they chopped Osiris up,
Re and Ra.
And they chopped his body up, but the only thing they couldn't find was his
phallus.
Yes, and when you remember, you are reattaching the phallus to the body.
But if you remember, you can also forget. So,
but if you recall, I don't.
Yeah,
I don't recall at the moment, but I will do later.
That's a really good point.
Or in a bit.
There's no opposite of recall, is there?
No.
There can't be. Because if the information's there and you're already recalling it, it can't be lost. Interesting, huh?
Correct.
We hope you enjoy psychic time. And give us some comments when you're practicing it.
Afterwards.
Of course. After you've practiced psychic time. Or if there's anybody that practices psychic time already. Oh, and also hi to Rick Stack and everybody in New York at the Seth Centre who've been watching our videos. We love you, and thank you so much for the material. That is the Seth material, and that's the first book to read, the Seth material, if you want to get into that. Absolutely fantastic. Thanks, Rick, and thanks to Sue Watkins. We'll be reading some more of that in the future.
We just did,
because everything is now.
Dennis Healy. World events do not occur by accident. They are made to happen, whether it is to do with national issues or commerce, and most of them are staged and managed by those who hold the purse strings.